The Los Angeles Lakers signed J.J. Redick to a 4-year deal to be their next head coach. How is this going to play out? I have no idea, because I, for the longest time, have been hammering the Lakers and hammering the NBA in general because it's so player-oriented and it's so player-driven that coaches are never given the benefit of the doubt when things don't go right. I look at guys like Mike Budenholzer, who won an NBA championship in Milwaukee and was their coach for the longest time I can remember. They drove him out of town. Frank Vogel, for the Lakers, he won a championship too. Ousted. Monty Williams, for the Suns, ousted. Frank Vogel again with the Suns, ousted. NBA coaches are always made the fall guys for when things don't go wrong. Darvin Ham, ousted by the Lakers after last year. Darvin Ham got to a conference championship just 2 years ago against the eventual champion Nuggets. Now, they were swept, I get it, but they still made the conference finals. And now this year, they make the playoffs again, but get bounced by Denver in 5 games. Okay, I talked about before, is it Darvin Ham's fault that Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, is it his fault that those guys just can't hit shots? Is it his fault that Rui or Austin Reeves or D'Lo are their third best player on the team? Austin Reeves would be a bench player on the Boston Celtics. So would Rui Hachimura, and so would D'Angelo Russell. You know, that's what separates other teams, is the fact that the Lakers have great 4 and 5 kind of guys, or 6 men as starters, while those same guys would be bench warmers and rotational players on other teams, like Boston. So coaches are always made the fall guys when it comes to everything that goes wrong with a team in the NBA. And the J.J. Redick signing kind of reminds me, can it be successful? Yes. If the Lakers are going to be patient enough to let J.J. Redick, coach that long enough. I don't know how it's going to end up for J.J. Redick. I'm hoping that it goes well for him. I really do. He's a smart guy. He's been in the league, I believe he had an 18-year NBA career, and he was a great three-point shooter throughout his career. He was a great team guy and a great leader over his entire NBA career. Doesn't matter what team he was on. He was always looked at as like a leader in the locker room. He's a basketball savant. You can even hear it on all the sports talk shows across America when he's on it. They praise his basketball knowledge. But the second he gets a deal, now they're questioning whether he has the fortitude to do it. I don't think it's a J.J. Redick problem. I think it's a management problem and a player problem. LeBron has had his thumb pressed on this organization for a long time, since he got to L.A. But at the same time, the front office for the Lakers is just god-awful. I don't trust the Buss family. I don't trust Jeannie Buss whatsoever to make good decisions. I never trusted Rob Pelinka. I never trusted those guys to have patience to let someone come in and start to build a culture with the players in order to produce NBA championships. The Lakers are just a very impatient team. This is not necessarily... I see a scenario possibly playing out like Steve Nash when he went to Brooklyn. In all fairness to Steve Nash, that was a dumpster fire of a hire, looking back on it. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think it was all Steve Nash's fault when it comes to everything that happened in Brooklyn. You had an injured KD, so he didn't even play his first year coming into Brooklyn because he was injured. He didn't even play the first year as a Brooklyn Net when he signed the contract with the Nets. You had Kyrie Irving, who at that time was a head case and was all over the place mentally, and was just not a great team player when it comes to, being an NBA guy. Just being the guy on, playing in the NBA. He was all over the place in the media, just saying what he wanted. It was just a lot of controversy surrounding Kyrie Irving at that time. You had Ben Simmons, and who, all honesty, is probably the worst superstar in NBA history. I'm sorry, Ben Simmons, I think he's 6'5", 230-some pounds or 220 pounds. I saw this guy literally never take a jump shot. This guy refused to play injured. And I'm not saying guys should play through injury. I'm not saying that. But you could tough it out a little bit. Ben Simmons is the weakest superstar that the NBA has ever seen. He can pass. He can dribble. He can get other players involved. This man cannot shoot. This man has never worked on his jump shot. If Ben Simmons had a jump shot, he would be a top 10 player in the NBA because the talent was already there. Not anymore. Ben Simmons not playing through injury. Ben Simmons showing up on the sidelines for Nets games, blinged out and all his jewelry and everything all those years ago. You know, people were questioning whether he was actually devoted to the game or not. Ben Simmons is the weakest superstar in NBA history. I don't care what anybody says. But, and I'm not the only one who said that, but looking back on everything, is it Steve Nash's fault for all those head cases going on in Brooklyn? Just like, is it going to be JJ Redick's fault when he doesn't have much to work with other than, you know, he has LeBron and AD. Anybody in the NBA would kill to have those two players on their team. But you cross your fingers and hope that D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, or Austin Reeves can deliver for you. Is JJ Redick going to be made the fall guy when that happens? I don't know. I think it was a good hire for the Lakers if the Lakers had patience. But the Lakers have proven time and time again that they do not have patience whatsoever. So time will tell in the future. We'll see if it was a good hire. I personally like the hire. I've always liked JJ Redick. But I can't help but get the notion out of my head that it might turn into another Steve Nash to Brooklyn sort of situation later down the line.